All right, this is a doozy how today's blockbuster NFL news inside the NFC East impacts the Philadelphia Eagles. You're watching Eagles Now by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr. Happy Friday to all of the real ones, and I hope you're all getting set to have a fantastic weekend. What are we talking about here? A lot to get to on Micah Parsons and Terry McLaurin, two of the top players in this division. And this is always significant for Philadelphia because the Birds play the Cowboys twice a year. They play the Commanders twice a year, and they're some of the best rivalries in all of football. Here's the tweet from Dianna Russini, breaking the news that the Micah Parsons-Cowboys relationship has deteriorated to the point where the star pass rusher is considering drastic measures, which could include a trade request or even a declaration that he is severing his relationship with Dallas, per multiple league sources familiar with the situation. The two sides remain far apart heading into the second week of training camp and are not currently negotiating. Oh boy, a lot to react to here. And let me just say this. This is classic Dallas Cowboys and classic Jerry Jones. They have alienated a generational pass rusher and one of the best players on their team. Jerry Jones had an opportunity to extend Micah Parsons last offseason when he was contract extension eligible. It never needed to get to this point. But by waiting and waiting and waiting, multiple edge rushers this offseason alone have gotten bags, and Parsons' asking price has increased by millions. And the Cowboys' approach with Parsons is the exact opposite of the Eagles' approach led by general manager Howie Roseman. The Eagles prioritize paying their own players early, taking care of their own players, and rewarding them. What this does is help to build a great championship and winning culture. It keeps players and their agents happy. It sends a message to the rest of the NFL that Philadelphia is a classy organization and the class of the NFL. And when you do sign players early, it allows you to get some of these players at 70% of their market value. For instance, if the Cowboys would have given Parsons a deal last year, he could have become the highest paid edge rusher in the game at about $35 million. But after TJ Watt got his deal and Myles Garrett landed his contract, Parsons wants to become the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of football. He has the right to demand that type of deal because he's a much younger player than the aforementioned Garrett and TJ Watt. He's been just as productive, and so the going rate for him has gone up to about $41 million per season. Dianna Russini expanding on this report. Among the key issues, Parsons negotiated directly with the Cowboys owner Jerry Jones over multiple days in the spring, and the team believed it had a deal, multiple league sources said. When Parsons' agent pushed back and attempted to negotiate further, the Cowboys declined to engage with him and told the pass rusher to honor the agreement he had made. Now the team is refusing to engage with Micah Parsons' agent at all, creating a tense standoff amid increasing friction. Parsons, in the final year of his rookie deal, is attending Cowboys practices, but not participating in on-field work. The 26-year-old four-time Pro Bowl pass rusher is annually the NFL Defensive Player of the Year in that conversation among favorites and will likely earn more than $40 million per year from his next deal. If you love seeing the Cowboys free fall and you love seeing drama in Dallas and you think the Eagles are, of course, the class of the NFL, but the class of the NFC East, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Now, at the edge rusher position, there has been so much movement at the edge rusher spot. I talked about some of those contracts, but that's not all that has transpired. And of course, this could be Parsons and his agent trying to flex just so that they can get a contract done to apply some pressure on the Cowboys. But another big thing with this, and why I love how the Eagles avoid these contract situations and all of this drama, which becomes very tense and it becomes controversial and dramatic, it takes the focus away from football. Every member of the Eagles' 90-man roster reported day one of training camp. And it's because Howie took care of these deals early so he didn't have to worry about it now. And so that the full focus could be looking ahead to the 2025 season. And now are we getting to a point where Parsons could hold out, not play games? And if that's the case, he might not be on the field week 1 against the Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field on September 4th to kick off the 2025 NFL season. Now, going back to how these edge rushers have gotten compensated this offseason, TJ Watt got $41 million per season. Parsons probably wants to overtake him. Myles Garrett, prior to TJ Watt, $40 million per year. But Danielle Hunter got a pay raise this offseason, $35.6 million, and that came after 1 year with Houston. They operated, Nick Caserio, kind of like Howie Roseman. They wanted to reward Hunter for having a really good year and show him that they value him, so they compensated him. Max Crosby also signed a deal earlier this offseason. So when I threw out that number a little bit earlier here on the show of if the Cowboys paid Parsons last year, they could have gotten him at 35. That would have allowed Parsons at that time to become the highest paid non-quarterback or defensive player, at least in football, and overtake Nick Bosa at that time. Now, you've had some wide receivers get paid, and Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. They're getting stupid salaries. But the point here is that Parsons, if he doesn't want to become the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, he wants to become the highest paid defensive player in the NFL. And you look at this list, that price tag would start at $41 million with TJ Watt. He wants more than that. And you can see why, right? 2024, 13 games played. He missed some time. Even though Jerry Jones, to start training camp, had said, well, Parsons missed 6 games. He didn't. He missed 4. And he had 12 sacks within those 13 games. Still a premier pass rusher in the National Football League. And for Jerry to say that, get the games missed wrong for a player who's been durable, 17 games in 2023, 17 games in 2022, 16 games as a rookie, it's idiotic. In 2023, Parsons, 18 TFLs, 14 sacks. 2022, 13 TFLs, 13 and a half sacks. 2021, his rookie year, bursts onto the scene. 20 TFLs, 13 sacks. Russini had said it. Perennially, he is in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. And it's because of production like this. He has been steady. He has been consistent. He has been elite. Why would you not want a player like this on your football team? What's also crazy, the Cowboys didn't need to pay Dak Prescott $60 million. They did. They waited to pay CeeDee Lamb. His price tag also went up. It's just not smart to operate and run a business like the Cowboys are running it, which boggles my mind, because if Jerry Jones were to sell the organization, they would get the most money in that sale among any sports franchise in the world. Definitely in American sports. As part of this conversation, this becomes very interesting, right? Micah Parsons might demand a trade from the Dallas Cowboys. He wants a new deal, and the Cowboys aren't even willing to engage with his own agent. So could Philadelphia actually trade for him? It is very rare to see rival in-division trades to this magnitude, considering the player. Now, Charles Haley, way back in the day, when the Niners and the Cowboys had a very hostile rivalry, got traded from San Francisco to Dallas in 1992, and he was a member of those Cowboys teams that won all of those Super Bowls in the mid-1990s. That was very similar to something like this, probably the best and most apt comparison that I can make. Now, the Eagles traded Donovan McNabb inside the division to the Washington Redskins at the time, but that was different because McNabb was at the tail end of his career, not even his prime. Micah Parsons is in his mid-20s, firmly in his prime. What's fascinating about this is that if the Eagles want to make a call to Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, they do have the ammunition to give up to maybe entice the Cowboys as far as draft capital goes. Philadelphia is locked and loaded with their 2026 NFL draft picks. They have their own first, their own second. They have 3 thirds. They have 2 fourths. They have a 5th from the Niners in that Bryce Huff trade. 4 more 5ths from Atlanta, from Houston, their own, and a compensatory pick, and a 7th round selection, which is also their own. So they could give up a 1st round pick this year, a 1st round pick next year, and I'm talking 2026, 2027, of course, but they have the ammunition as far as 2nd rounders, 3rd rounders, mid-rounders, to offer the Cowboys one of the best deals that they could field for Parsons. But could Jerry Jones live with himself if he were to trade Parsons to their biggest division rival? What's also of note, Parsons is from Harrisburg. He played his college football at Penn State. He has been very jealous of the moves that the Eagles have made. He has applauded Howie Roseman with his draft picks, his free agency acquisitions, and how he operates this organization. Parsons has been courtside for a lot of Philadelphia 76ers games. What I would do, I would call Dallas to see what the price tag is. And would Howie be able to swindle the delusional Jerry Jones? Is Jerry that senile? I know he's lost a little bit. He's getting a little bit older. He has said and he's done some weird things, but I don't think Jerry is in a spot, especially with his son, Steven, co-owner of the Cowboys, in his ear to trade Parsons away to Philadelphia. But my goodness, it would be fascinating if the Eagles were to pull off that trade. It would be one of the most noteworthy trades, considering all of the circumstances that we've ever seen in the history of the National Football League. And I like where this Eagles pass rush is at right now with the personnel, but they don't have a Micah Parsons on this team. Keep in mind, too, he would demand a very, very lofty contract. So with that, I want to hear from you. Today's poll question is this: should Howie Roseman call the Cowboys about Micah Parsons? Type T for trade or P for pass. Let me know down in the comment section. Now, he is not the only player in the NFC East who is looking for a new deal. Terry McLaurin has actually requested a trade. Hasn't gotten to that point with Parsons. It could, but Scary Terry has requested a trade to put pressure on the Commanders because he wants to get compensated. We'll talk about that coming up around the corner. But I do want to tell you about this deal and plug this deal. Thanks to our friends at Fanatics. This Eagles cutoff hoodie was $55. Now it's just $33. Why I love it, you can wear it any time of the year. You can look good, feel good, rep the birds. And you could wear this to a game. You could wear this to the open training camp practice at the link, depending on the temperature. I look at this and I'm like, man, waking up on a Sunday morning with that fall bite in the air, with a cup of coffee on my balcony, as I watch some of the birds eat out of my bird feeder, and I'm sipping that great cup of Joe, just thinking about the upcoming Eagles game and doing a watch party here on the channel, that's a vibe. You want a vibe too? Chatsports.com/Eagles cutoff. All right, the story number 2. This news breaking yesterday from Jordan Schultz that Commanders All-Pro wide receiver Terry McLaurin has requested a trade, multiple sources tell me. And as Eagles fans, those of you who are 4-for-4 Philadelphia diehard sports fans, meaning you root on the Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers, you know what I'm talking about here. Thank you, Joshua Harris, who owns the New Jersey Devils, owns the Philadelphia 76ers, and owns the Washington Commanders, for paying an old and washed Paul George. Because now Joshua Harris doesn't have the coin to pay Terry McLaurin. I kid, but it is a funny connection. On the real, though, McLaurin has been great for Washington, right? And since he was drafted out of Ohio State, he has been a steady presence. He made his impact be felt right away, really had a breakout game in 2019 against the Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field when Carson Wentz was the starting quarterback. And from that point, he has been consistent, one of the most productive wide receivers in the game. And with how bad the Commanders were, Terry McLaurin has lived it. He's seen it. He's experienced it. And there's been a lot of down moments for that Commanders organization. Last year, they make the surprise run to the NFC Championship game. They draft Jaden McDaniels. He becomes a great option for Daniels at the wide receiver spot. They build up all of this synergy. McLaurin has been so steady. 5 straight years of 1,000 yards receiving with, most of the time, suspect quarterback play. Carson Wentz, Sam Howell. And then last year, they finally get their guy at QB, and McLaurin had 13 touchdowns, and he's looking at the Commanders' receiver room, and he's like, hold on. I'm so much better than Debo. I've been so much more consistent than Debo Samuel. He got paid because he was an All-Pro in 2021. And for Debo Samuel, let me just look at his production really quickly because he hasn't been close to the player that McLaurin has been. That all-pro season in 2021 was fantastic, but Debo has 1 year of more than 1,000 yards receiving. McLaurin has 5 straight, and he's been in the league for 6 years, and he's saying, we traded for Debo, great. You traded for him to be my number 2 because I am the bona fide number 1, but I'm making the same amount of money as Debo Samuel, and you're not going to extend my contract when I'm the homegrown talent who's been here. He could have requested a trade a long time ago. He could have not signed that extension a few years ago. He is stuck with Washington. He's been happy with Washington. He wants to stay with the Commanders, and the Commanders won't compensate him. I just don't get it. And as far as the production goes, he has been so good for Washington. And the fact that he's had bad quarterback play makes this production even more impressive. Again, the 5 straight years of 1,000+ yards, these numbers in the last 4, really good production. 5 touchdowns, 4, and then last year the career high of 13 touchdowns. This has become similar to the Micah Parsons situation for McLaurin because the market and with what wide receivers have been paid, it has increased McLaurin's demands. And I think he has a right to go to the negotiating table and say, I want to become a top 10 highest paid wide receiver again. When he did sign that deal a few years ago, he was inside this top 10 list, but this is how much with salary cap inflation and with all these wide receivers getting paid, how much the market has changed. Jamar Chase is making 40 and a quarter. Justin Jefferson at 35. CD Lamb at 34. DK Metcalf 33. Garrett Wilson at 32.5. A.J. Brown is now the 6th highest paid wide receiver in the game. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 30. Brandon Ayuk at 30. Tyreek Hill at 30. T. Higgins at 28.75. This is also great news for Philadelphia. They're paying Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, 2 number 1 wide receivers, fractions of what some of these wide receivers are getting paid. From Washington's standpoint, they do look at McLaurin and they say, okay, he's 29 years old. He's going to be 30 in September. I may have said he was a 2nd-round pick earlier on the show, 3rd-round pick. But the point here is he has been a fantastic player for Washington. Of course, there are risks with paying him when he's about to be 30. You don't know how he's going to age, but shoot, he's been a durable player. He's shown no signs of slowing down. And what doesn't make sense to me is that the Commanders going into 2025 are legitimate contenders. Are they the oldest roster in the NFL? Yeah. Do they have 29 or 30 players who are 29 years old or older? For sure. They are under contracts short term. But they're legitimate contenders going into this year, considering what they did last year. But they're not legitimate contenders without Terry McLaurin. You trade him away. He holds out. He's unhappy. You are not the same ball club. Debo Samuel at this point of his career is not a wide receiver 1. And then Noah Brown would elevate to wide receiver 2. Elsewhere, you have Luke McCaffrey, KJ Osborne. Even if you go out on the free agency streets and you add an Amari Cooper or a Keenan Allen, that's not helping you that much. This wide receiver room right now, pretty damn good. McLaurin, Debo, Noah Brown. You take McLaurin out of that receiver room for Washington, you take away Jaden Daniels' best weapon. Another thing that doesn't make sense, JD is on his rookie contract. Go all in and take advantage of Jaden Daniels while he's so affordable on that rookie deal before he's going to demand $60 to $70 million here in about 2 years. Now, the Eagles don't need to and won't trade for McLaurin, but this obviously impacts Philadelphia because Washington is in their way. They're the biggest test inside the NFC East, perhaps inside the entire NFC conference. Man, fascinating stuff. Be sure to give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_senior. I'm always talking Eagles here. I'm always talking Eagles over there as well.